Well, hello and welcome. It's great to have you here. I'm going live today to do something a little different. I'll be showing some of my past videos and giving you some behind the scenes look on how that I made them, and sharing a few stories that maybe didn't make the final cut. Now, if you ever wondered how I film alone or where the ideas come from, then this is the place to ask. You ask me anything in the chat below. I'll do my best to answer any questions that you have. But what we can do first is we'll have a look at the first video that we're going to look at here. And our first one, we'll bring it up here. So this was the video about the gates at Arrow Park. Now, if you don't know if you remember, this was the end of last year. The gates had just been replaced. They were the gates there that were getting refurbished. And not long after they got replaced, they one of those storms. What was the name of the storm? If you remember. Storm. Yeah, they come up with names with all of them nowadays.
Anyone know? Was it November 24?
Blew a tree over.
Let me know
and
if you can.
went right through the stone wall
like now, and what
that's right by it. And we'll see it in a minute.
Storm Dara.
Now I know that they've actually, now they're the new gates that they put up there. So this massive tree came down right on the corner of the gates there and took out a stone wall. Now I know that they've been replaced now, which is great. But it was very close, really. But let's have a look at the rest of this video and you'll see what happened.
Whereas the reference of the arrows for Arrow Park with an E is fairly obvious. But amazingly, luckily, however you want to describe it, just about a month after the gates were installed, this tree, which shouldn't be leaning outside of the park at a 60-degree angle, sort of came down in Storm Dara. Just as seen a squirrel run across there, making use of it. And we've got this. We're going to capture this tree now because it's most likely going to be cut down in the coming weeks or so. Mr. Squirrel is back again. So this is the tree that nearly flattened the brand new gates at Arrow Park. So this is the view from behind. It's completely sort of, well, nearly uprooted it. If it wasn't for the wall, it would have gone down completely. So certainly a lucky escape for the new gates. To see how this is really, nearly went onto the road actually. Nearly blocked Arrow Park Road itself. Now we've come back here just a week or so later and everything changes. The whole tree has now been removed. However, the blocks here are still yet to be put in place. No doubt, give them a bit of time. And there's the gap there. You can actually see how it's shifted these other blocks out of position. These need pulling back in and rip these blocks away from this original mounting point.
Right, so there we have it. That was that one. Yeah, that was actually done at the end of last year. Now I can confirm, I don't know if anybody's actually been past there themselves, that sandstone wall is all back up and repaired again, which is great news. I'll go back to the filming of that. You'd be quite surprised. It looks like, you know, I would guess a lot of my stuff and even a lot of other people's stuff you may see out there, it looks all quite easy to make. You know, you just take your camera or phones that people have these days and just film the stuff and talk about what they want to do. I don't know how many people out there do think it's quite a quick thing to do. Just take the camera out and start recording, but it actually does take quite a bit of time, a lot more time than what you'd think, to do it. Now, one of the biggest problems that you have is, amazingly, and as much as it's not a problem in one respect, is people. You quite often get, because it's all in a public place, obviously, you quite often get people, you know, you're setting up a shot, you've got the camera there. I don't forget, well, I don't know if anyone knows, I don't use things like GoPros or anything like that. Use a proper camera. I do some like filmmaking and stuff like that. Yeah, just checking this question that's come out. What video editor do I use? That's from Anfield Road Layout in the Loft. Well, mostly quite recently I've used DaVinci Resolve. That's the one I've been using. And before that I used to use Sony Vegas, that editor. Both of them are great. I've just tended towards DaVinci Resolve more recently for more of its color grading features. You can get stuff looking really good with a good, there's a color grade on it. That last one that I showed you just then, that was done in DaVinci Resolve. A lot of my earlier stuff would have been done in Sony Vegas, but that one was done in DaVinci Resolve. Because as I was saying, I don't use cameras on a phone or anything like that. I don't do this kind of thing, you know, where you're pointing at yourself and walking along, or even, you know, pointing it the other way and filming while you're talking. I don't have the camera right here, but it's more of a camera on a tripod setup. Microphones. The audio is very important on stuff like that. Otherwise, you just can't hear yourself, or other people can't hear you, or other people, all they hear is the traffic noise a lot louder, or especially wind. Of course, wind is one of the biggest problems when you're trying to film something. Any kind of wind just hits the microphone on a phone, or directly on a camera, and you just have you know that noise. That noise is a kind of noise, and once you've got it, you just cannot get rid of it. It's on the footage, and that's it. So audio is quite important. But as I was saying before, one of the problems you have is with people, because you've got this tripod set up and you're trying to get your position. I do all this stuff on my own predominantly. The camera's set up in one area here, and I'm maybe 10 foot in front of it, or even further sometimes. And I'm just about to say something to camera, and someone comes around the corner, someone walks across in the shot, someone comes down the pavement in front of you, which of course they're just going about their daily stuff. And then you have to stop and just wait for them to go through. Right, another question's come up here. Clipchamp, yeah, I know the one. Yeah, that's an excellent one. Isn't it part of Windows, or is it one of the apps that comes with Windows 10 and Windows 11? I used to use one of those when I first started using digital editing, which was on Windows 7, I think it was. I probably did it on XP as well, and can't remember what it's called, but it's kind of like a predecessor to the Clipchamp, which they have now. Probably had can't remember the name of it, but must have had a very basic name. But it wasn't. All I needed to do, all those editors need to do is cut things off, fade from one clip to another, put some titles over the top, and they do that amazingly. No problems which are on. no problems whatsoever with any of those. That's another one. Do I like the vlogs that I do? Yeah, I mean, most of them I've picked, apart from the actual going to the location and doing all the filming of it, most of the time it doesn't just come up. But I'm saying most of the time you don't just go there and make it up when you get there. A lot of it is pre-planned pretty much, even to the point of, right, I've got to get that in the shot, so I want to be over here at this angle to film what I want to film. A lot of the scripting is done, if not completely, you know, a rough script is done before I get there, so I know what I'm going to talk about. Not even done in, how would you put it, in order a lot of the times. You know, you don't necessarily need to do scene 1, scene 2, scene 3, scene 4. While I've got the camera set up in one place, I maybe do the first scene there and then know that that's going to be the final scene. So we'll record the first scene and the final scene at once, or one after each other, not moving anything. And then I go off to another area, maybe do scene 4 and then go and do scene 3. You know, you get the picture. So that it's often done in the wrong order, usually just because it's easier to go from, in reality, when you're there, you're going from point A to point B to point C, back to point A, and then, you know, you're finished. If you did it in order that you've scripted it, you'd be going back and forwards to the same place all the time and setting them back up again. So it's often easier to do it that way, and then re-editing when you get back, and then just putting that scene back in front of that scene and things like that. That's great. So I'm gonna pull up a. Let's see if we can. I'm gonna pull up another one of the videos that we've done. Just looking for one now. Okay, right. So this one here, this one actually took quite a lot of research to find out exactly. So, you know, if everyone knows Patricia Routledge, who was on, what was this show called now? Yeah, Patricia Routledge, no, the actress. Many people, including myself, knew that she was born in Tranmere, which is great. But I was trying to find out where she was born in Tranmere. So this took quite a bit of digging around, looking at some stuff on the internet, trying to find some, eventually found some old posts that people had made, probably in about 15 years ago. Keeping Up Appearances is the show that I'm thinking of. So I knew she was born in Tranmere, but I wanted to know where. And this is the bit that took quite a long time to find out. This is way before I actually went to film it. Probably filmed it within an hour, something like that. Basically in 2 locations. But obviously needed to know where to go. And eventually found it. So we'll just pull up the Patricia Routledge video.
Patricia Routledge, Mrs. Bouquet, is best known for living in this house. And this is how it is today. Not much has changed, but she's actually from Tranmere, near Birkenhead on the Wirral Peninsula. And unlike the Bouquet residence, things here have changed a lot. And this is how it is today. In fact, if we go back in time, we can see what it was like around here before these new houses were built in about 2018. But later we'll go back further to see the actual house. Now Patricia actually went to school round here, just down the road. In fact, it was just down this road here at Mersey Park. In fact, here she is visiting the school of her roots not so long ago. This is the original building, and you can see it hasn't changed since she attended here. It's an education that recently, well, 2019, took her to Chester Cathedral. This was for her honorary doctorate for the University of Chester.
And you do me great honour welcoming me into this congregation with the honorary degree of Doctor of Letters.
And as she says, being from the Wirral, she is a Cheshire girl.
I'm a Cheshire girl, born and bred and proud of it.
Now in 2025, Patricia is set to receive the Freedom of Wirral, as it's from the borough itself. Now this has been given to a number of high profiling figures over the years, including of course the late Paul O'Grady and Glenda Jackson. Now the Routledge family lived on the first house in Whitfield Road, which was number 2, immediately behind.
Now just jumping in there, I believe that
a few years
ceremony
ago,
has already happened.
as a shop, it was run
I was trying
by
to get
named Eric, but the Routledge family had been
yeah, there's a
prominent
house
in the Tranmere
there,
area
just on the left as you
since
see
its
it, with the
independence from the township
white in the
before it was
windows, and that's
incorporated
the
into Birkenhead in 1877.
that's the newsagents
Isaac Routledge
where
owned quarries
she
in
lived
Lower
over, because it
Tranmere
wasn't a
in
newsagents
the
then.
1860s.
But yeah,
So this is the most
I was
recent
trying to hope
picture
to
of
film
her
the
house.
actual ceremony
There's a
itself,
shop
but I
on the
believe
corner,
it's happened.
and this is how
I've
it
just
is
seen something
today.
about it that sort of hinted that it had happened already. So don't know if anyone knows if it has or hasn't. It's one of those things sometimes, trying to get in touch with the council to find out things can be quite difficult sometimes. You really wouldn't believe it, but it is quite difficult. Yeah, there's something else. The other thing you have to look at as well is the there's many things that I've never actually managed to film and complete because of getting permission to go somewhere or to film in a certain way. It has been an ongoing problem a bit. I can let you into a few things if you want. I've been trying to do some stuff about the Chariots of Fire film, which is filmed in about 81, 82. Many of it was done on the Wirral itself. Some of it was done actually in St Andrews in Scotland, but many of it quite a bit was filmed on the Wirral, and some of it was actually filmed over in Liverpool as well, which I was going to include in it. I was trying to get the filming locations of the shots that they did and try and get the same filming locations and take the camera to the same place and see what it's like then and see what it's like now, like a lot of my videos are about. And so if you may know that it was filmed at the Oval in Bebington, so because that's council land, private land if you like, or it's owned by the council, the running track, you can't just turn up and film there. A lot of the times people think that you can just turn up and film in places. Well, many times you can't. You have to get permission. Sometimes that permission actually costs money to do. Sometimes you just have to say, yeah, no problem, go and film some stuff. I know I was filming some stuff at which one was it? Leasowe train station once. This is many years ago. I was filming stuff there about some of the history of different railway stations on the peninsula. And one of the guy came out of the ticket office and basically said, you know, you can't film on the platform, it's private land, you need permission and all that kind of stuff. So I just left and left it at that. So yeah, trying to get into the Oval to film, tried to phone up. They said, oh yeah, you go through the website. There's a form to fill in, which is asking you all sorts of crazy questions about shutting roads and will you need, you know, facilities and catering facilities while you're doing your film there. There's actually nowhere to put down. I'm only making a film for YouTube. I'm not making a grand production, you know. And then a lot of them are turned around and some of the fees for doing it, it's quite astronomical, you know, to film within a borough or within a council area to film. It's quite a lot of money to do. So that can be a setback, and I never got permission to go to the Oval and film there. And I know many people would just turn up and go and film there anyway, but you do have to watch it as well, because there's I've been there for you know, specifically for certain events, you know, and the problem is when you're doing that is because there's a lot of kids activities and athletics events and things like that there, training and things like that, and you can't just turn up with a camera and start filming people in a, you know, in a private land like that. So these are some of the setbacks that you have to have when you're trying to make different films and stuff like that, is you can't just go where you want and film what you want when you want. But let's have a look and see what else there is.
Patricia Routledge, Mrs. Bouquet.
Not that one.
Known.
We've looked at that one. Let's go and see what else there is that we can go through now. And that was on Church Road, by the way, if you'd recognise that one. See what else we can have a look at while we're in here. Sorry, I'm just looking. If anyone else who's back in the chat now wants to ask anything else, then let us know. Just let them look into the chat here. Yeah, this is quite a short video. I'd actually done this video before, many years ago, actually, several years ago, and just decided to remake one
Now you may have been
in the
past
place.
here
Let's have a look at
1,000
this.
times and not
Any
known
questions
what
about
it
this?
is, but this stone structure is the Spittal Pinfold. Now what is a pinfold? It's literally a place to hold stray cattle that had got away. So let's go in beyond the gate and have a look to see what is actually in here. So trough here, filled with water for them to have while they were being kept in here, and a lower one down here. Now these walls are actually 1.5 meters tall, maybe about four and a bit foot. It's quite a large pound. There are a couple of these examples around. There's actually one which is here, which is in Capenhurst, slightly bigger than this one, and a bit of structural damage that has happened over the years here. Now I've got this little video here of what it would have looked roughly like maybe 100, 200 years ago, when these things were in proper use. It's also, as we see from above, it's a parallelogram shape. It's not exactly square. But let's have a look here. It's approximately, let's walk this out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 5.5 foot long. And it's about 1, 2, 3 meters, 3 yards wide. So quite an area for holding the cattle in.
So if you're wondering exactly where it is, off junction 4 of the M53, just towards Spittal Crossroads at the Three Stags, and it's just opposite the petrol station there.
Now we can see on these old maps that it is labelled as a pinfold on these old maps. and it's actually, at the time, it was opposite a smithy, but that smithy is now replaced with either this substation or this petrol station on the opposite side. So maybe next time you're passing here, you'd see it and realise, ah, I know what that is. It's the Spittal Pinfold.
Yeah, so the Spittal Pinfold. Many people go past that every single day, many times, and not really notice it, or see what it is, or realise what it is. Maybe they just think it's an old stone wall. Does anyone know what it was beforehand? Did anyone already know, or did you find out watching one of these videos on here? Susan's in the chat as well. Andy. Yeah, Andy's the name. But yeah, I mean, as you can see, that was done earlier this year, and it was yeah, a bit drizzly, a bit rainy, which is another thing that you have to put up with, especially when you know it's different than when if you've just got a phone that you're sticking up and filming yourself doing a vlog type of thing. When you've got the camera and everything, it's much different to do it all. But yeah, so there's some other things coming up as well. This is one thing that I've already put out on some Facebook groups as well. This summer there is a marathon that's returning to the Wirral. Now there is several like running events that go on in the Wirral. There's the Hoylake 10K, the Tunnel 10K. I think that was last weekend. It goes from Liverpool to the Wirral and finishes in New Brighton. And this is the first one. This is the first actual marathon that's happened on the Wirral. I think it's for 40 years, if that's right. I'll have to look at that up again. So I think it's for 40 years, first actual marathon. So it's quite a milestone. So it's putting out there if anybody is running it. So I put some just questions out in local Facebook groups. Is anyone running the marathon? Any reason I'm asking is if anyone's doing the marathon and they have their own backstory, they have their own reason for doing it. You know, many people do it, say, for a different charity or something like that. Maybe they've had their own issues and they're trying to overcome or create, you know, give themselves a goal and accomplish a goal and things like that. If anyone's doing the marathon, then we're going to look for people who want to be included in the video and just cover their story maybe beforehand and on the day of how their progress goes, good or bad. So if things go wrong, there's struggles, there's triumphs and things like that. So if you or anyone that you know is running the marathon, then if you get in touch, then you know we can see if we can sort of follow you on the day and seeing how you get on. Hopefully there'll be a few people that are doing it. Oh, here we go. Yeah, but both of your names are recognising the different comments in that on different videos, so it's good to have you here on the live stream. So Susan, oh right, so you're over in Ireland. Excellent. Now, and you're hoping to move to the Wirral in the next year. Oh, that would be really brilliant. Yeah, if you do, then let us know. Plenty of places. What places? What part of the peninsula are you looking to go to? Quite a diverse peninsula, really is. If you think about it, there's in different corners. There's so many different type of areas that you go into. Yeah, so let us know where you're going, we'll most likely have some videos in that area as well that you could have a look at. And I'm sure you get a lot, you get a lot of, we actually have, don't know if anyone's in here now, possibly not, but there's a lot of people who used to live here. They used to live on the Wirral. Maybe they were brought up here, they've moved away. There's people who are in Australia who grew up here, moved away, found the channel somehow. How do you find these things somehow? Don't know. It's YouTube recommendations, or maybe they've been looking for things, searching things about the peninsula, and eventually got recommended this channel. And it's like keeping in touch with home, if you like, and see what it's like now. And they see how things have changed from what they remember, and it's just making it a bit more real for them, isn't it? Because seeing how places are right now. So Anfield Road layouts, he's on the Wirral himself. That's great. Yeah, whereabouts are you then? Port Sunlight, yeah, amazing place, Port Sunlight. I'm surprised actually I haven't done many videos on Port Sunlight, which is actually quite surprising to me because it has an awful lot of history, backstory. I used to work there myself. I worked on the plant at Lever Brothers for quite a while as well. And I know quite a lot of the history within Lever Brothers. While I was working there, we had access all over the site, and we used to go down into Lever House. We could get underneath. There's so many tunnels underneath Port Sunlight. Not the village necessarily. No, not the village, but underneath the factory. There's tunnels and passageways, and there's so many of them you would not believe. In fact, at one point, there was a lot of railways on Port Sunlight. So all of what's roads now, the trucks go in and go up and down the roadways within the site. None of those were roads. They were all railway lines. So if you wanted to go from building to building, you had to go underground. The tunnels are still there, many of them. Some of them are bricked up, but you can still access a lot of the tunnels. So I'm surprised I haven't done too much. Saying that, I did do a 5 or 10k run. Covered the video of it in Port Sunlight. Can't remember the year, 18 or 19, something like that. 17, 18 or 19. You may be able to look it up and see Sunlight then. So let's have a look. You can, yeah, Port Sunlight. Oh, right, okay, so you come from California IA, and you've lived in Ireland for 22 years. Yeah, what a great place to carry on to, get onto the peninsula itself, yeah. I should do a lot more. Actually know from another place that I've worked at, a couple of people that live in Port Sunlight Village as well. Even so they know a bit as well. They know some of the history as well. At one point, I was almost got involved with the Port Sunlight Heritage Trust, and I might still do that. Again, a lot of these things need the cooperation of other people to make some things. It's also matching up times and stuff like that. But even stuff on Lady Lever. And then the monument in the middle of it. There's another fact, I don't know if you know this one. There used to be many swimming pools around the peninsula, and I don't say indoor; these are outdoor swimming pools. All of them have gone now. New Brighton was probably the most famous one, the one that's most used. But there was many others. There was Guinea Gap Baths. There was Derby Pool, which is also in New Brighton. There was one in West Kirby, and there was one in Port Sunlight. Now, Port Sunlight, the plant itself, used a lot of steam originally it came from Merseyside Power Station, which was over the other side in Bromborough, the top end of Bromborough, and some of their excess steam that they didn't use after generating the electricity, it was piped over to Sunlight, Port Sunlight, to the factory, and they used that steam for heating the soap pans, to melt the soap and make the soap bars. And then there was still a lot of heat energy left in it after that. And they were so that steam was piped out underground into the village. And the swimming pool, the outdoor swimming pool in Port Sunlight, was heated by steam pipes underground. And all that came from a power station, then to the plant to heat the soap, and then it went to the swimming pool. No, amazing way, I suppose, nowadays, of making things more efficient and getting as much energy out of the stuff as possible. And then this was way up. I don't know when the swimming pool shut down. I think it was more the 60s or something like that. The swimming pool shut down, as many of them did around the peninsula. I think New Brighton was the last one. But there's many things we can do in Port Sunlight. They must actually write some stuff and get some stuff done on that. A lot of the history I know is like in the plant itself as well, which I can't really get back into to film in there. So, but outside, of course, there's plenty. And a fun fact. This has no relevance to anything, but I think it was my great granddad's godfather was Lord Leverhulme I, the original Lord Leverhulme, who set up the factory in 1888 and of course built the village. So that's kind of a claim to fame, although I had no relation whatsoever, as it's only through godfather. But I've thought to myself, without that, I'd have been the next Lord Leverhulme, but no. But it doesn't work with a godparent, or whatever you would call it. And you've seen photos of the pool and the allotments, the ones in Port Sunlight. Yeah, you can see. The most recent one was the New Brighton one, New Brighton Baths. That was destroyed in a flood in 93, I think it was. You can find pictures of that. Big storm where the sea came over and then just knocked the rest of the building down. There's now a Morrison's, a Home Bargains, an Iceland there now, and some kind of coffee shop. I think it's a Costa or Starbucks or something like that. It's all been regenerated since then. It has actually flooded since then. There was a flood quite recently in 2007, 8, 10, something like that, where Morrison's flooded from the same kind of phenomenon that happened that ruined the baths then. I do have a What's It Like Now video in New Brighton as well, so you can have a look at that if you so wish. That's got some pretty old pictures of way before the promenade was built, because it used to just come down just to sand. All along the front there was just sand, and then all the sandstone rock came down to the beach. Now all the dips and everything that's along the front there has all been built up, and the coastal path put in. When was it? There in the sometimes terrible with years, 30s, 40s, something like that. We'll go with that for now. Oh right, you got some. Oh, you've been over here. Oh, excellent. Yeah. Sunstroke in New Brighton. Now that must have been a pretty hot day. But when it's a hot day, then being on the beach at New Brighton or being on the beach anywhere on the peninsula, especially at the other side, at West Kirby side and down Heswell Way, is like being on a beach anywhere in the world. Yeah, there was Bangor races there. Yeah, there was a football pitch, and around the outside of the football pitch was like an oval racing track. I don't know what else they did. No, they did bangers. I don't know what else they did there. New Brighton Football Club. We're actually quite a fairly high level football club. At the time. Way down the leagues now, but it was a fairly high level football club. No aircon at the Travel Lodge. Oh right, yeah. I was at the new Travel Lodge, just by the like the boating lake or whatever you call it. Yeah, it's right by the cinema as well. That's something else that's there now, isn't it? There's a cinema. The light, is it called? Something like that. Yeah, I was down. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I was down there a couple of days ago. So this is for an upcoming video, which may be many weeks down the line. Many weeks down the line, I was at New Brighton at a very low tide. I tried to go at one of the points where the tide's at its absolute lowest, and then I got right down at the lowest point of the peninsula, if you like. And so that's a little hint into what an upcoming video could be. I was at the lowest point on the peninsula, and that's where the video started from. I've got many more different scenes to do on that, and that's another thing as well, is when you're doing these videos, they are some of them are done, let's say, all together. So I would go somewhere, film everything, and then go. Sometimes within the hour, something like that kind of thing. Other times I'm in different locations. I don't always go there on the same day. I go to one place and do one bit of the film, somewhere else and do another bit of the film. So those ones can take, in terms of, getting around to doing all these bits, can take weeks to do. So that one, I was at New Brighton. It wasn't, I can conclude, it wasn't the hottest day of the year. It was bloody freezing at the time. And we have had a bit of a warm spell during this part of Easter, Easter and spring a couple of weeks ago. But a couple of days ago when I was there, it was pretty cold with a wind blowing right through you. Yeah, so that's coming up. There's another video which is about a footballer that has taken many weeks to get to where I am at the minute with it. I'm going to see somebody next week about it. Concerning who the video's about, this person I'm going to see is a fairly relative special person for that video. So I'm hoping that something comes out of that. But I've got to go to Liverpool to meet somebody, and hopefully he'll be able to help me out with that. What clue? Do you want any clues? A footballer from the Wirral. That's what it will be about. So hopefully that one comes out okay. What else have we got planned coming up as well? I've got all sorts of different notes on the computer here, so what else have I got coming up? There's a couple of the What's It Like Now videos. There's quite a few of those I've got, you know, almost ready to go. Which is a lot of the What's It Like Now videos, you know, if you find you see people posting on Facebook and the likes of that all the time, and there's like an old picture of, you know, a certain place, you know, 50 years ago or 80 years ago or something like that. A recent one I did was on the Arno in Oxton, Arno Oxton in Prenton. In fact, we could put that one on now, couldn't we? This was quite a good one actually, because
may have been past here.
No, that's not that one again. This was quite a good one actually, because they one of our viewers, I don't know if he's in here today, one of our viewers saw this video. He said he visits the Wirral quite often. He saw the video and he realised, hang on a minute, where is this place? I've never seen this place ever. He's not from here, but he comes here every so often and has a wander around somewhere and a walk around. So I'd put out this video. I can't find the thing now. Hang on. I'd brought out this video and he'd seen it and he thought, where on earth is it? He you know, found out where it was from the video, and the next time he came to the peninsula, he went there and had a wander around himself. That's one of the things that these videos can do sometimes. You don't necessarily realise. Here we go, it's this one. Yeah, you don't necessarily realise that, you know, I'm just putting a video out about a particular place or something like that. But people see it like that and then think, oh, this is a new place. Then they end up going there and then exploring it for themselves and realising, you know, finding something new for themselves. But this was this one. It's up in Oxton Village.
And we're here at the Arno to look at this picture, which is actually a sundial and a memorial. But first, we've got plenty other pictures to go and look at and compare from how it was then to how it is right now. Now the first picture we're going to compare is this one here. Now this is at the top of the circle in the gardens area, the very symmetrical circle, and this is the view as it today. Now we can see that some of the plantations on the left have changed, but don't know if they're the same. Are they the same? No, they are slightly different benches, but they are in the same location. And just note the houses that are different in the background. I don't know if that tree is the same tree than it is today, the big one in the middle. But the houses in the background, and that house is actually a school about the time that this photo was taken. As we always do, let's take a look around the beyond the picture of what was, say, to the right of the person that took the photograph at the time, and right behind him, just to the right, is the rest of the circle. In actual fact, if we just go straight behind, don't think this was been here at the time, but the main quarry bit is just beyond that hill. We'll go there in a minute. Now the Arno is actually the site of a former sandstone quarry, of which most of the Wirral is actually built on. Now for generations the site has been in the ownership of the Earl of Shrewsbury, and their family titles are remembered in the names and many of Oxton's roads. Most notably in the case of the Arno in Guestry Road.
Another thing as well you can see from this well, that last view as well is the different oh, you can see it there, that's the wide lens. I don't know if people notice these things, to be honest, but there's several different lenses you can choose from to get different perspectives of things. So also while you're there doing this filming, you're trying to, maybe this is the way I'm thinking about things, get the lens selection right, so you're seeing the lens perspective, especially like on this one here, you're seeing the old picture. That old picture was probably taken on a 35mm lens or possibly wider, so you have to try and use the same kind of lens to get the same perspective, the same width if you like, so it's not too far zoomed in or too wide. I quite often try and get that perspective the same as the picture, so it almost superimposes over the top of it.
On one of the information boards is a map of the gardens. You can see the circle in the main gardens. Now we're going to head off now into the quarry bit itself. Now this is the quarry bit itself. You can see the whole area that's been dug out, as it still is. And of course at this point it was then taken over and made into a park and used as a playground for children and adults alike. Now unfortunately many of these photographs are quite difficult or impossible to recreate, mainly because so many things have changed. But today we're at the top end of the quarry area, where all those people were over 100 years ago, and as it is today. And we're right in the depths of the quarry here, and the footpath is just above us. That leads out to the main road, and this is the sandstone here that was so sought after. If anyone asks you what is the Wirral, this is what it is, as the majority of the Wirral is on top of this red sandstone. You can see if we go back to one of the...
Right, so that's the Arno video. Right, so I'm going to draw it to an end here, but what I'll probably do is I'm going to try and make some of these a bit more frequent. This is the first one I've done in quite a long time, but if I make them more frequent, then more people will catch on to it. And if I have any questions about things up in the future or whatever, then you can come onto one of the live streams and ask. Or even if you're not on the live, you'll still be able to view it later and put a comment down there. And also as well, this is all about, you watching it. I'll also try and find out what's a decent time for people watching it. One evening or something like that. Which day of the week's better for most people, but we'll figure that out. But I know it's a Thursday today, but it's also bank holiday weekend, which kind of throw things up, the Easter weekend. So we'll see how we go, but hope to see everyone back, say next week, at some point next week, maybe the same day, something like that. I'll put out a thing when it's going to be. So I hope to see everybody. See you then. So see you soon, and thanks for watching.